Okay, so it's been a while since I've made a video. I have just been adjusting to my new job and sleeping. I don't really have any other reasons outside of why it's been taking so long. So I guess since I went to Europe maybe I think it was like a month ago or so, I'm going to try to compound some of the stories and experiences that I've had with several videos and not try to make them long winded because I know that when I listen to YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos, and like the YouTuber's been going on for like 10, 15 plus minutes, I kind of like tune out. So, anyways, this one will quickly be about my flying experience from Chicago to Brussels. Now, I the day that I flew out, I was a mess because it was, I think, the first trip I've taken by myself since I've been married. And like, I missed my husband like terribly. I wasn't even out of the country yet. And I just felt kind of like anxious and sad. And even though it was a fun trip, I still like missed him. So I was like one of those people who was like crying before the plane had even like started to board, and people were just looking at me like, what the hell is going on with her? So I was silently crying. But anyways, those feelings were only like, those mixed feelings were only punctuated by the fact that I got on this flight and I had the bitch seat, aka the middle seat. So on the international flight, you have like the aisle row, I call it, and there's like three rows. Then there's like there's rows or aisles, rows on each side of the plane, and I was on the farthest left side of the plane, and I was in the middle seat. And I had a very interesting travel experience in the sense that I was sandwiched in between two fat guys. Now, a friend of mine had asked me the other day, right before I flew out, she's like, what's worse, being on a flight with like being next to a screaming newborn or sitting next to like two fat people? And I was like, oh no, the screaming newborn, hands down. Like, that's just the whole flight. Like, no. I have decided now that when you're like when you're my size, or just anyone really, like being sandwiched in between two big people is quite possibly the worst. And they were nice, but you have nowhere to move. Literally, you have nowhere to move on the plane. You can't adjust because their sides are spilling into your seat, and so it's just very limited space. And towards the end of the flight, I almost felt like claustrophobic, and I've never felt that way on a plane. But I feel like I don't know what the hell is happening. Like, as I get older, I just don't necessarily enjoy being on a plane anymore. And I really did feel like very claustrophobic because they were two big guys, and of course they both had a lot of shit, like stuff, like their carry-on was in my fucking way, so I couldn't like really adjust myself, and it's the worst. So, what else happened on that flight? So, yes, being on a flight for 8.5 hours, or I think it was 6 hours. I can't remember. It was 6 hours, which is not 6 to 7 hours flying from Chicago to Brussels, which wasn't that bad at all. But it was just the fact that I was in between. I had nowhere to go. So I felt bad. And I think, okay, so let me go back. In this particular story, as I'm flying to Brussels, two things happened on the plane. And I felt like we really need to get our lives. People need to be more patient. Number one, our flight was late leaving because someone, I don't know if it was a staff member, I'm more inclined to think so, but someone on the actual like runway, someone had like a medical emergency because there was an ambulance out there right next to right next to the wing of the plane. And so we're looking out, and the guy next to me was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. Our flight's gonna be late." I was like, "Someone's having a serious problem, and you're more concerned about being on time than their actual like safety and well-being." Like, I mean, I can be like kind of impatient too, but damn, like I'm not to where I'm gonna completely disregard someone else's health. Like, that's totally ridiculous. I just kind of gave him a side eye, like, what is your problem? In addition to that, so someone fell out or something happened where they needed medical attention. I get that. But then, and this is the worst, like, to me, this is the worst. Someone maybe like two rows back was like sick. Like, they were going to puke or they'd been puking and they needed the bathroom. So, of course, they hit the like ding, and because I was in such close proximity, I can hear it. And her husband was like, she's sick. She needs to go to the bathroom. To which the guy next to me hears this as well. And he's like, oh my God, someone's sick. He's talking to the guy who was next, the other fat guy who was next to me. And I don't know if it was like his friend or like his boyfriend or his husband or whatever. They clearly knew each other. And he was like, oh my God, this person's sick. So now the flight's going to be delayed longer. And I was like, yet again, here we are. You're completely like not compassionate for the situation. To me, being sick on an airplane has to be one of the worst feelings. In fact, even though I'm not a superstitious person, I am superstitious in that way. Like, I will not eat before I get on a plane. I sometimes don't even eat while I'm on the plane because I don't want to be sick midair. Like, that to me is terrible. And I felt bad for this lady because she basically was like living my worst fear with flying. So yeah, the guy next to me is like, oh my God, we're going to be late, blah, blah, blah. We were already late. So, and I understand that people have connecting flights and all that, but like, be nice. What in the world? So people just need to be nicer to each other. I mean, I know I sound hypocritical because I'm always talking about how much I don't want to be next to kids on a plane, which is true. However, I'm not going to make the parent or whoever's feeling bad about their screaming child. Like, everybody on the plane knows that that's annoying as fuck, but they're not going to go out of their way. Some people might. I won't. I'm not going to scream at a child. I'm not going to belittle a parent. I'm just not going to do it. Like, I feel like there's no need for it. They already know how bad the situation is. So yeah, so anyways, they just were like, oh, there's something oh God, sorry. I just woke up and I just look like a mess. I don't care. Anyways, so the guys were just being really impatient on the flight, and like the staff works their ass off and they're trying to pass out snacks and food to everybody. And something happened. I don't remember. This was like towards the very end of the flight. We're about to land. And my next door neighbor was mad because he didn't get his orange juice. Okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't like being around people for too long. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the fact that I was getting crankier because I literally couldn't move in between these two gentlemen. I just wanted off that plane, and every complaint that they made was only making me more annoyed. But I guess my moral of the story is be nice. You have to know how to adjust to situations on a plane. Like, we're all in this together. Like, your comfort does not trump another's. Neither does your flying experience trump another's. Like, whatever. I don't know. I was glad to get off that plane, and I was so happy that I was so I flew into Brussels, and then I was on a train, which trains have been a more pleasant experience, primarily because you have more space on a train. So anyways, I'll get into that in a second. All right, bye.